They turned out to be completely unreliable assholes.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, Ryan.
And hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Dismembering Horror. I'm Ryan.
I am Tim.
And today we are going to talk about The Cured.
The Cured, 2017.
There was so much chaos after the outbreak. It was 2 years before we could begin to re-enter the city. We started to hear a rumor of a cure.
How long were you infected?
4 years?
You having any violent impulses?
No.
Your sister-in-law has agreed to take you in.
Smile, Killian. Are you one of the cured?
Yeah.
Will you be sick again?
What happened to Luke?
You get separated. You were right to lie. They're all the same when they know the truth. We need to look out for each other out here, okay?
Sometimes I feel it screaming to get out.
How could you take one in? They're murderers.
Do you want to check in on what we're doing here, what this podcast is? Because I feel like it's been a handful of episodes and we haven't really talked about it for a bit.
Yeah, so, we're here to talk about horror films because, not everybody has somebody to talk to about horror films.
Yeah, we're hoping you treat this as we're your horror friend. We're your horror film friends.
That's right.
We're just old Ryan and Tim.
There's no spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Either you saw the movie or you didn't.
Right, exactly. I'm of the mindset, Tim, and I know people are very different on this, but I'm of the mindset of to know anything, to even know someone's opinion does change my viewing experience.
Totally.
Therefore, that spoils it.
Yeah.
In that sense.
I'll generally watch maybe one trailer of something especially something I'm excited to see.
Yeah. And
then be like, okay, I'm not watching any more
even
trailers.
That for me, it's like then
I know you're pretty hardcore.
Well,
about
yeah,
the trailers.
because then I'm watching. I won't necessarily avoid them, or there's nothing really I'm too excited about these days where I'll have to avoid them.
Nothing.
But it's like if I'm sitting there and a part from the trailer hasn't happened yet, then I'm just going, okay, I'm waiting for this to happen. I'm waiting.
I know,
for this
I
to
hate
happen.
that.
And that's part that, and it's also part just I do love a well done teaser trailer, something that captures the mood and the interest. And that's not what we're here to talk about, but point being...
Yeah. No, but that's fair.
This is spoilers in the typical sense.
The whole thing's a spoiler.
This is filled with it. This is our just once in a while checkup in case you happen to be tuning in for a first time with this episode.
Welcome.
Yeah. But really, we just break apart. We have a format we follow where we give a summary of the film, and then... Just to sort of keep it segmented, we talk about first things that worked for us. We don't want to say things that were bad or good outright because people, have different enjoyment levels or people like different things. So we say what worked for us, what didn't work for us, or things that worked for us, things that didn't work for us, and then things of note. Yeah. Anything that wouldn't fit in either of those, but we thought were noteworthy to talk about.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Stuff. My computer won't turn on.
You don't need it. We're just here talking to each other.
But I need it because I need
your notes.
My notes are on it. I can't. It's happening.
That's weird. Okay, well, I'll try to give a summary in the meantime.
Oh, yeah. Your turn to do a summary. Do it.
I'm so bad at them, so that's why I always like when Tim does it.
I'll score you.
Okay. So, The Cured in a world... specifically Ireland, where a zombie, I'm just going to say it, a zombie outbreak occurred.
Yeah.
They were able to find they were able to cure 75% of those infected.
Right.
While a remaining 25% were not.
Does that infer that everybody was infected at one point?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Because that's the whole... Because what it's really about is the people who were never infected, who are the normies, who are looking with reticence upon the once infected, which they refer to as the cured. And
correct.
We are coming into the story with a guy whose name was
Senin.
Mm-hmm. And he's a cured,
right?
And he's one of the few people, so he's one of the people who...
You're doing great.
Okay, thanks. Who get reintegrated back into society hesitantly by those who are in charge of that sort of thing. They're very hesitant to let anyone back in. And he joins up with his friends. His brother's wife. His brother's passed away, and she was willing to take him in.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, because not everyone trusts these people.
Yeah.
And she's a journalist, in case that matters.
I don't think it does.
So that was all one sentence. That's how I do.
Yeah. Oh, is that the end of the sentence? Full stop.
So that's the summary.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, right?
Right.
He comes in with his buddy, who's also a cured. We learn more about him. His buddy's name is Connor.
And really, I look at the summary. This is why it always kind of almost throws me off that we're like hoping and expecting you've watched it, but then start with a summary. But really, the summary, I mean, yeah, it is for if you haven't seen it, want some sort of context. Yeah. But also, it's just sort of like, okay, well, what is this film? What's the takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like what's the setup and what's the plot? How did we interpret
that? Exactly. What's our interpretation of it?
Somebody else might watch this and be like, that's not what I got from it. There's so much more going on or whatever. That's fine. But like broad strokes. Yes. That's what this movie you're getting into.
And then also, so next, our rating system, we go from buy it being the highest to rent it, you'd pay money to see it, theaters maybe, to just stream it, to avoid it. And out of those four, Tim, what would you give 2017's The Cured?
I'm full of noise over here. I'm just like rustly and running into things, and I think that is sort of representative of how I felt about this movie. I guess stream it. Like I wasn't that into it. It's got problems.
I agree, and it's weird to think that I would say stream it for Insidious 4, but avoid this film.
I know, but that is kind of harsh.
All I was thinking about during this film was like where we were going to eat afterwards. I'm sorry. I think there was, we'll get into this, we start out with the things that worked.
Yeah.
But usually like in the bad horror films, like what, the last week's The Ritual, I didn't like it, but there were the horror elements, which made me say, okay, cool, stream it. This one, I'm just going to say avoid it. Just watch 28 Days Later or 28 Weeks Later.
Totally.
I just kept wishing I was watching those movies during this movie.
Or anything else. Okay, that's a little too much. But yeah, but any other zombie movie ever made.
Yeah, I still haven't seen, what we could watch, Maggie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that either.
I would watch that because of Arnold.
I love Arnold.
Yeah.
Arnold was like my action hero go-to. You know how like as a kid everybody has their like
Bruce Willis, Jackie Chan,
Arnold, whoever it is. Stallone. Exactly.
Well, let's watch him get in a situation where he has a zombie daughter, maybe.
I'm cool with
one
that.
Of the next times. Okay, that's on the docket. Shall we talk about what did work for us?
Sure. Let's give it a go.
What worked for you? What worked for you? What worked for you?
It worked like a charm, Smith.
What worked? What worked for you?
Crickets. No.
Yeah.
Speaking of crickets.
Funny enough, that's the thing of note. No. Funny enough, right. For not liking the film, I did like the premise of just what would happen if zombies returned with their memories.
Yeah, there are good concepts happening in this movie. Mm-hmm. It's not devoid of potential, but
Yeah. So
the fact that once you're cured as a zombie, the revelation that you weren't just some mindless thing. You've retained. You remember all of it.
Yeah, that's
an awesome idea.
Right, that was an interesting idea. That was like you are giving in to an urge, or like you literally don't have control of yourself.
Well, and on a broad sort of social scale, that's like a really big thing that people, something that people argue about all the time, right? Like, if you do something bad, are you responsible? So, like, for example, let's say you got drunk and you ran somebody over, but you were blackout drunk. Like, you're responsible for that, but you weren't you when you did it.
Right.
And so how does society view you in this particular case? They still think you're an asshole. But, like, I think it's an interesting concept and an interesting social question of, like, if you aren't in control of yourself and something goes wrong, who's to blame, and should you feel guilt or responsibility for it?
Right. It's so hard not to just slip into what didn't work. So
oh yeah, that's
because I don't really know what else to say about it without.
Okay, I have a couple of things that I could say that I thought.
Well, I meant just coming off of that specific. What that?
We could dive down into that. Sure, we'll get to it.
Okay, great. I only had a few. Actually, just specifically a few other things. Being nice, that did work for me.
Jesus.
God, I hate being such a bad guy. What do you want me to say one?
Sure.
Okay.
I love it when you're a bad guy because you're such a pleasant human.
The sound, I thought this was a good example of if Insidious 4 was an example, and all those movies that are like Insidious 4 are a good example of when it's done poorly as far as like just using loud sounds.
Right.
This was a good example of loud, scary sounds.
Yeah.
Like the breathing at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Super. Maybe it was just sort of the nature of seeing it in a theater. But
True.
The breathing, the sudden intense like zombie just pounds on doors. That was effective.
There were quite a lot of those, yeah. And
the sudden yells.
Everything really. This is sound design. I wondered about the theater itself because I've never been to that theater and like what the sound normally is in that theater. But man, it was sharp. Like the sound was in this movie, at least, was really, really. It felt. God, I don't even know how do you describe like crisp and sharp and like clean.
It was visceral.
And yeah, it was it was really well done. So I'm gonna bank on this is sound design. It wasn't just the theater having a good mix.
No, absolutely. But it was the Nuart is a landmark theater, so they have the money to upgrade it and all that.
Totally,
I'm sure they did.
You're like right on with my list of things.
Should I keep going then to see if we're...
Yeah, keep going. I want to see.
Or whatever. All right. The ending, when the zombie breakout stuff finally happened, specifically the kid in peril moments within that, I thought worked for me as far as just the stakes of, oh no, there's a kid who's vulnerable, and the dynamic of the main guy. Oh yeah, we should mention, so if you were cured, then the zombies don't attack you because they smell or whatever that you were once them.
Right, which is cool.
Them. So
it's a sort of variation on a thing we've seen before, but yeah it's cool.
So I just like specifically, I thought that was like a good, the kid's in peril. That's a little intense situation.
And to add on that, something I kind of liked was this notion that the zombies, like if you were bitten, whoever bit you, I don't know if it was this specific, but it seemed like whoever bit you, you had this sort of like psychic connection with forevermore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a cool idea. And it at times was working.
Yeah. So this movie had a lot of ideas.
The ideas thing is a big part of my what didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there.
Lastly, this was my favorite thing about it. absolutely favorite thing was the various ephemera used as world building, the PSAs that were posters.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The things
those were
around that
good.
made up the world of
Yeah, I
like, if
kept
you have this
chuckling at 'em.
virus, do.
Yeah.
Watch out, Like all that looked, it felt real to me.
Yeah, there was one that was good. That was something about like, if you feel sick and you're a kid, it's okay.
Yeah.
But you need to get help or something.
Production
like
design director, just
Yeah.
it was great. Totally bought it, and it was fun. And it was fun seeing that as a world building device. Really worked for me. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, you pretty much covered my things that worked. I had one extra one.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I guess I have a couple. I mean, there's sort of, maybe these are obvious or like you've seen it, you know these things. I thought the performances were good. Mm-hmm. Like I thought people showed up and did their job and like, yeah, they were good.
I agree. I wanted to put that, but I kept feeling awkward for what they were acting in accordance to.
Agreed.
So that's why I didn't end up putting it.
Yeah. So maybe we'll come back around to that.
Yeah. They did a great job with
what they had.
Yeah.
To work with.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. So oh man, is this a thing that worked or a thing of no? I think it's a thing that worked. On the surface, at least. The story, I think, is sort of an allegory to like the IRA, Irish Republic Army, sort of Protestant Catholic, like 80s clashing. At the very least, there's very strong undertones, I think. I don't know that history super well, but because it's a movie set in Ireland with mostly Irish actors, and I think the director is an Irish dude.
He is.
I think that they were leaning on that as sort of a subtextual theme thing. And at times I was like, yeah, I get where you're going, and I'm cool with it. For the most part. Let's go on to our next segment.
All right. Things that did not work for us.
It's not ready yet.
Seems to work okay.
No, something important's missing.
What did not work?
Continuing on what I just said, the surface of things and ideas and concepts and themes and whatever worked, and then there was nothing else.
And maybe this is I think exactly what you're talking about, and this sounds just so harsh, but I wrote things that didn't work for me, the movie. And I wrote, but more specifically,
no, but it's true.
What I meant by that, yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, what I meant was that there was at never any point did I feel like I had a movie to latch on to.
Absolutely,
it felt like it was this weird effect of I wasn't actually watching a movie. Like,
I think there are a few reasons for this.
Yeah.
One is what we just said, right? This sort of the themes and the story and the concepts and the writing are so kind of on the surface. They're not explored in any real depth. And then also technical things were hurting its ability to feel like a movie. Like the editing is super disjointed to me. I don't know if you felt that, but like
I realized
from
I think
like
it was
moment to moment and sort of like the flow and rhythm of things.
I think that was the editing, just not again like us watching it, not having a movie to latch onto. There was no.
So does that mean that
there was no
it's
line.
a result that we felt that way as a result of the editing, or that the edit?
Well, like try to if you could like. If you were to try to explain to me the whole plot, the plotting, like what happened scene to scene, it would be so difficult.
Yeah,
because you'd kind of just be like, well, this happened and then that happened.
So I think does this fall under have you seen the Trey Parker and Matt Stone little, like there's them giving like a, I don't know, a course in screenwriting or something like that, and they kind of make this point of saying, you know, if you have a lot of between scenes, like, and then this happened, you're in trouble. what you want is buts and or therefores. So like, this happened, but then this happened, or this happened, therefore this happened. And that keeps the story kind of cohesive and moving along, and you can follow as an audience. But when it's just, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
It was like the main
it's like, who gives a
conflict
shit?
that was arising, if there was one, was that it was the guy who was the wannabe politician who let all the zombies out at the end, sort of when he was working his way up to that. So he was like a resistance, like there was a resistance of the cured.
Yes.
But that was just kind of happening too. It was never...
I think if you grew up in Ireland in the 80s, that storyline would have much bigger implications and impact on you because of the politics of that time. But since we didn't, we're looking for something to grab onto. And that...
But even with that, it would have just been... Like, even if you could immediately relate to that, then I think that would just be sort of more you're relating to the feel of like the people in those rooms, you know, sort of talking amongst themselves. That's true, you would still need actual story in order to you know, latch on to it.
Right. Well, and I think there's basically 4 stories in this movie. There's what you just mentioned, that sort of political side of it.
The cured, resistance of the cured.
Right. There's Sinan and Connor, who's the leader of the resistance, their relationship.
The rivalry. They're really, their friendship into rivalry.
Right. And then there's Sinan and Ellen Page and the secret that Sinan ate his brother, who was Ellen Page's husband.
Right.
And he's keeping that secret from her. And then, did I say there were 4? So there are 3.
No, there's one more.
At
least
the doctor one. The doctor angle. Yes. The doctor and her
the
sort
doctor who's so close to finding an actual cure for the last 25%.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So those are your 4 storylines, but at no point did I feel like I was really getting into either the mind or the emotion of any of those particular stories, or the reason for their plight.
Yeah.
The only one that really has that, I guess, is Sinan and Ellen Page's The Secret.
Yeah, that has even a clear revelation moment.
Right. But, it just...
Like, I thought there was going to be something more to it. I thought it was so heavy-handed, like, with the military bad guy who's, like...
Yeah,
where at first it felt like that sort of wannabe 28 Days Later, you know, having done it before and better, of like, oh, it's the military, you know, the men in charge are the real bad guys here.
Right.
But even that, it was like, I'm like, all right, we've seen this before. This is going to be a thing. But then it didn't even end up being anything.
I know.
That it was like... But then it doesn't make it that it wasn't heavy-handed when it was there, though. That's the thing.
That was kind of the same thing. Like, it was an and then moment that military guy came back around. Mm-hmm. And you were just suddenly in that scene.
Right. And it was like, oh, Ellen Page decides to trust him and tell him something because of this. And it was just kind of like, okay.
Oh, man, it's so true.
It lost me pretty much from the get-go. The main thing that made me just, you know, not hold on to the movie at all at the beginning was just the conceit of people not trusting the cured as if they were at fault for what they had done. Like with the father who's like, I saw what you did to, you know, my wife, your mother.
Right.
Like as if he was literally to blame. But,
and maybe, right.
But I think it's so clear that they were diseased and eating people. Like,
that's just it,
there was no question. So I was like, then that's fine if we have a society that's just afraid that that the outbreak's gonna come back within them, and that there's still a threat even outside of their control somehow, which was also there. But I wish it was just that, because it was muddled by this thing I couldn't buy at all of just this, like... people assigning blame as if they are evil monsters when clearly
but
weren't.
that's the problem. They use that idea as the crux of the film.
Yeah, but
because that's the way that Connor gets Senan to come back around, because his whole thesis or whatever is that you don't know, like, they're all the same once they know the truth. Mm-hmm. They all are gonna hate you. That's like the main point that gets them, you know, into the third act, and it just doesn't feel quite.
and then
yeah.
It was like, that could have been fine as far as the not buying those conceits if that was some sort of clear comedic satire, because this is still satire, but it was done, you know, this is a very serious tone to it.
That's true.
So it just didn't even work in that sense of like, oh yeah, but why don't you just buy into that aspect of it? I'm like, no, the whole movie was as if this is absolutely real and happening.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of how you construct that to kind of pay off better, but it just doesn't. It was used too much to me as a way to get to the. It's like, how do I explain this? It's a way to get to the next scene.
Yeah, the protesting and all that had caused it. The state of Ireland. It felt like it was all just forcing to get there, and it again being that conceit of people not trusting the once infected.
It feels a little what's the word, like not retconned, but sort of reverse engineered. Like they had a sort of structure of what they wanted this movie to be, and then they were like, but we don't really have a story and we don't really have a theme. So let's just stick one in the two places that it needs to be in the structure to make these things work, because Blake Snyder said so in Save the Cat.
Mm-hmm. Or just because they were ideas that they liked that they tried to force in somehow.
Yeah. We're being real mean. We're not mean people. Well, at least you're not.
I mean, everyone's everything. It's just
isn't that the truth?
It's just what serves us better, and I think that's being a good person.
It's true. What serves me best is trashing movies on a podcast.
Well, I'm glad.
It just makes me feel
then
so
you're
good.
in the right seat.
It's the only reason I wanted to do
what's
this.
something else you have that's not work for you?
So most of the things that, like, we've pretty much covered all of the things that didn't work for me, except for I have some specifics. There are maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 times when a zombie flies in from off screen.
I noticed that, yeah.
And it's like, after the first 1 or 2, you kind of go, yeah, that's fine. I get it. That happened, and good, like, cool, to good effect.
I'm standing just here, and then all of a sudden, from off screen.
But it happened a 3rd time, and then a 4th time, and then a 5th time, and 6th time, 7th. And I was like, guys, look, these characters live in a world where there are fucking zombies, and they're fast zombies. They're 28 days later fast zombies. You have peripheral vision, and you live in a world with zombies. No fucking way are you gonna fall for that.
No, but they're really fast.
They're not that it's impossible.
But they only see whatever we're looking at.
Well, fuck. That's annoying. It kills me, man. It's too. It's like overkill.
Yeah.
Literally. Oh. It pissed me off when the second to last one happened with the doctor. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's almost comical.
I absolutely noticed it by time 3 or 4. Yeah.
Stop it.
Okay. And that's when I was already just so over the movie. It was like, yep. All right.
Ugh. Okay. What else do you have? Anything?
What was the bad guy's name? The political Connor. How his whole MO was and releasing the zombies again, which didn't actually quite make sense how that would help him as far as just sort of in being emblematic of zombie rights, maybe.
I guess.
But
Well, and maybe this sort of thing that he can kind of mind control them.
I did not
Because
get any of that.
he went from being basically a character, like an actual human character with like human traits and like maybe an interesting backstory, to just a like representation of a idea
of a bad guy, which was when he said but there's something to the effect of there are always casualties,
right?
Something like that. I was
fuck.
just so tired.
No.
I'm like, no, it's not. That's not an interesting bad guy at this point. Someone who just thinks that there's always, for a greater cause that there's going to be. I'm like, I'm not interested in that conflict in this situation anymore, if at all.
Did he die? Did we see him die?
Didn't he just run away?
Shot,
he got
and then
shot
he ran
and
away.
ran away. Oh yeah, so we can hope for the cure too. Maybe that's why.
That annoyed me. So that whole, really to me, the third act just fucking falls apart. Mm-hmm. It falls apart with character logic. People are doing the stupidest things. Ellen Page, there's a zombie running down the street, right? Zombies haven't gotten out in however many years, right? She looks outside. There's a zombie running towards her down the street. She runs into her house, leaves the front door open, gets an axe, runs outside into the street, and axes the zombie in the neck. What?
I'm not sure. I mean, didn't she have to go save her son?
Fucking no sense. Yeah, well, okay, so if that's the reason she did that, the very next thing that happens is the UN throws her in a truck and she's like, oh, fuck, I guess I can't get my son.
No, she was struggling to get out.
For like a second.
No, the whole time they... I don't know.
I didn't buy it. It felt trite to me. It felt like we're going to show her have this cool moment, but then we're going to get her in the van so that she can tell the main character sent in to go get her son.
I disagree that it like
shitty.
I disagree that it was an intended cool moment. I just think it was just a nothing. I don't think it wasn't believable. I don't think it was necessarily believable. It was just sort of just blah. It wasn't much of anything.
I guess. I don't know. It just didn't ring true to me that that's what you would do.
Since we're talking about like the third act, which I guess maybe if you're saying that's kind of when they let the zombies out, but I guess was also starting more from when Connor... when he betrays Connor.
Yes, that's totally the end of the second act.
So I thought, as soon as I realized, his plan is just to let them all out, because it was sort of like set up, like they're all trapped in their little cage dorms.
Right. It's a prison.
Yeah. I thought, okay, I sat through this whole movie. At least I'm gonna like this good old fashioned zombie attack thing where they're just all loose and it's mayhem. And it just was somehow so unsatisfying. It was surprisingly unsatisfying. It was like, okay, we literally have seen this all before.
Right.
And there was no like redeeming action to it, except for maybe I mentioned the kid in peril moments. But even then, which lasted. I was looking for things, nice
10 seconds.
Yeah.
I had a problem with that moment.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's sort of like, Senan he gets a kid, he grabs a kid, and then he's like running away from everybody with the kid. Cool, great. Like we know you're in trouble, right? Like that's a sort of, because nobody's going to go, no zombie is going to get Senan, right? Like, because he's got this immunity to them. Mm-hmm. But he's holding a juicy, live food,
Irish boy
meat bag that the zombies want. So that poses to me a really interesting problem, right? If you're holding the thing that they're trying to eat, you're not necessarily in danger, but how do you protect that kid? Mm-hmm. And then Connor shows up and he just like puts the kid down. He's like, run away. And then he deals with Connor, but kind of half-assedly, because he doesn't kill him. He lets him run. It's like this weird... And he's standing over Connor's body for like 30 seconds while Killian, the kid, is getting chased by two other fucking zombies. Mm-hmm. I'm like, just choose one. Kill Connor and be done with that, or fucking go save the kid. And he kind of half-assed both of them. And then the conceit, ultimately, when the kid gets bitten... is that it's cool though, because there's a cure.
I think you're giving them too much credit as far as like applying
logic.
Yes.
I want logic to exist, though. It drives me nuts when it's that.
I think it had its own weird inner non-logic. I don't know. These like complaints of yours, like I can't necessarily agree with.
Does this fall sort of under cobweb continuity style complaint?
It just didn't feel. It didn't feel incorrect to the rest of it. I mean, all that stuff. I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know. It felt par for the course.
But look, when you like in a fun horror movie,
which this was not fun. Yeah.
No, when you have the moment. See, I love the moment as an audience member where you're like, no, don't do that. You're gonna fucking get killed. Or like whatever, it's the Scream moment. Like, I'll be right back. It's oh, fuck, he's gonna die. So I love those moments. This eschews those in a way that falls neither on a side of logic, which I would be like pleased with, or on the side of this sort of trope that's fun that we go to horror films to sort of participate in. It's middling to me, and it doesn't fucking work.
I agree with that. It was a middling in between.
I'm so glad we agree. Really, it's important to me. Can we agree that your tea smells great?
Yes, it actually does smell really good.
It's really nice in this very small room. So I have a couple more things that are essentially. I'm trying to butter you up a little bit before I say essentially this exact same complaint for different moments.
Okay.
Let me look. Where were they? Right. She leaves the hardest one. Oh. So there's the moment where Ellen Page. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name.
Abby.
I can't. Like, she's Ellen Page.
Abby.
Do you feel that way about her?
I mean, I had been referring to her as Ellen Page just because she's the one.
No, what I mean,
actor, yeah.
What I mean is, does Ellen Page ever not feel like Ellen Page when you see her in a movie?
Ellen Page. I like her though.
I love her, but I'm never not aware that it is distinctly Ellen Page.
Yeah, like a Michael Cera or someone.
Yes, exactly.
Which Juno.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
So it's about Michael Cera and Ellen Page.
Right. So there's this moment with her where she gets a gun, right? She's running down the street.
Oh, yeah.
And
she takes the gun from like the guy who was just killed.
Yeah. So she takes the gun from a soldier who's laying on the ground dead, but bitten. So we know he's going to come back to life, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever.
I didn't. I had no idea what the rules were, if they were going to come back
they
or not.
They weren't great about the rules, but except for the rule that when Connor breathes on you, you do his bidding. Did you notice that rule? It like is sort of introduced in like the late second act, and suddenly you're like, oh, I guess that's a thing. Because now it's happening more. Anyway, so Ellen Page grabs a gun because there's a zombie running down the street. She grabs a gun, she turns a gun, she shoots it twice. She kills him on the second shot, which is kind of, I guess, a nice change of pace because usually it's the third, right? It's like, bang, oh shit, it didn't work. Bang, shit, it's really not going to work. Bang, it worked. Or maybe four. But whatever it is, they definitely didn't do that. Again, felt kind of middling.
It was the second one.
Yeah, on this one, they did the second shot.
Whatever, that was just how she shot. I think you're looking at two in relation
I'm getting too critical.
You're looking at two in relation to, I don't know, what.
What feels good?
No, because that felt fine to me. I remember that moment.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Did the fact that she's in a world now where zombies are freely running around killing people, and when the soldier who is incapacitated, like can't get up, grabs her by the leg, she steps away, she gets her leg free, she steps away, and then she stands over him and shoots him in the head.
What were you asking?
Why would you do that? Why would you waste a bullet?
Yeah, if he can
He can't fucking get you.
Oh, because he's
just laying there on the ground. He's not getting up, like whatever. It seems like
Was it established that he can't get up?
No, but he didn't. She could have just fucking run away.
It was supposed to be the moment of like, maybe it was, and this was the thing, I wasn't even sure. I was trying to read into it as like, okay, if this guy who just turned into a zombie, into an infected, can be cured, does she spare him in that moment?
I think that's what they were kind of going for, that they were showing that she is of the
Like
mind
when she almost
that you need to kill.
When she almost shot the kid.
Well, that's what I think this was a setup for.
Yeah.
That they were trying to say she is of the mind that she needs to kill infected.
Right. Oh, yeah. So
that's what that was for.
That didn't seem true to her character.
No, I agree.
What was there? Yeah, I want to mention at the end, hoping you didn't watch this and you're just listening, that the kid gets infected at the end, and she holds a gun to his stomach and almost shoots him, but doesn't.
Yeah. So here's my thought. So they chose to go with this notion of let's just show that she's capable of shooting somebody who's just turned. That's essentially what they did as a setup to show that when the kid gets killed, that she's capable of killing him, even though it's like horrible like moment for her to make that decision. It's Sophie's choice, right? So not at all, but you get it. So let me just give you a different version of that. Let's say she did that. She killed the guy, right? And we go, oh, okay, so she's capable of killing him. Fine. But she's also shot the gun multiple times, let's say, leading up to that moment. And she chooses in that moment to shoot that guy. She uses an unnecessary bullet on him. When she gets to the moment with the kid where she's contemplating shooting him, she fucking actually pulls the trigger, but she's out of bullets.
Wait, did she? Oh, no, you're suggesting
No, I'm
that.
suggesting that as an alternative, that she actually pulls the trigger in that moment, and it just clicks because she used all her bullets, like saving herself, and then the final bullet she used unnecessarily on an infected guy. She could have just walked away from that dude, but she chose to shoot him. I think the impact of that moment of the kid turning or whatever would have been much more dramatic and worthwhile.
If I couldn't buy her almost killing the kid, then I couldn't buy her trying to kill the kid. I think that would just be even worse.
But then the suggestion of her contemplating in the moment,
I just don't understand why she would do it at all if there's a cure.
Because she doesn't, because that's supposed to be some sort of new information?
Or was that because the point of the movie was that, or one of the things in it that was like, if you're infected, it was like what the military guy was saying to her, once you're, when you're cured,
sure,
you're never totally cured. They are.
I think there's subtext.
They're clicky.
I think there's attempted subtext in here thematically that we don't have a connection to.
It was never actualized.
Like maybe this is what Protestant Christians in Northern Ireland felt like acutely, you know, in the 80s or 70s, 80s, whatever. I don't know. But I wonder that maybe it makes more sense to somebody who knows what the fuck the relation is.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me. It also doesn't make sense that then that the whole final sequence where he's off wandering around in the middle of nowhere with the kid who's still infected, but there is a cure. Why? Like,
right? I didn't get that either.
What does the ending mean? It doesn't, like, if there's a cure and he can get the cure for the kid, why didn't he get the cure? Why is he wandering around in the grass? I'm fine with
endings not meaning any. I mean, meaning something you can put into words. But I just, you're right. I didn't even know what. It didn't make me feel anything.
Yeah,
it was just like.
And if there's not an answer, let there not be an answer. Don't give me an answer and then take the answer away.
I was just happy it was the ending.
Oh, sorry. The Cure.
I want to try to be more productive in like really picking apart what didn't work about it, but I didn't do my proper thinking. It might be taking me more time.
I think you can make this movie better. Like I think you could. You could take
what happens if zombies return with the memories.
Yeah, like whatever the case was, whether that they didn't write an extra draft, or they didn't dive more, or they focused on things that we're not getting.
I wonder if they just got Ellen Page attached and then
she produced it.
Yeah, meaning,
yeah.
And then we're just like, okay, we're making this because we can, because Ellen Page is in it.
Let's move on to things of note, because I'd
love to move on.
We belabored that we didn't think this word.
Things of note.
Yeah.
Things of note! This should be interesting.
My roommate's back.
Is that noteworthy?
That's
I
probably
like
more
that.
noteworthy.
That was
than-
noteworthy. It was Tim's first time at the Nuart Theater.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles. For the
Yeah.
other, I saw both Troll 2 there and
Jesus.
the documentary on Troll 2, in which you see me
Wow.
standing in line
Oh, wow.
at that theater, and the theater
That's
was
amazing.
essentially
You're
empty.
famous.
Yeah.
If you're trying to figure out what Ryan McDuffie looks like, go watch that documentary. Don't type his name into Google.
No.
Don't look him up on his website.
So for any of you LA folk, yeah, the Nuart it's where I'm pretty sure since it came out, where they've played the Rocky Horror Picture Show and midnight screening for every Saturday since it came out. So it's cool.
Have you gone to that?
No.
Me neither. Maybe we
that
should.
That counts as a horror film.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
should go and record
it. It literally has the word horror in the title.
How about this movie? I really didn't have much.
I didn't have much. We noted that in the credits, it's quite a small production crew, and I mean on the actual film crew. Real very few people. Lots of
by a certain
extras.
standard, yes, but I didn't think it was small. I think of small as
I guess what I'm saying
people.
is it felt barely bigger on actual. on actual filming days than a lot of projects that I've worked on.
It was a low budget
I have
film.
not worked on any feature films.
But as I pointed
that's
out,
not
was
true,
where there was a lot of extras in it.
Yeah.
There's a huge list of extras actually at the end.
Yeah,
so I think they were just it's easier to get
As
people
needed.
to come for free or cheap if it's one day.
Totally. They're like, hey, come stand there and we'll definitely put your name in the credits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get your name in the credits, and they did.
Because, do they usually put extras' names in the credits?
No.
Hell no. No way. So that's cool.
Yeah.
One other thing, we were the only people in that theater.
No, there were some people behind us.
What?
I started saying that. You didn't hear me. I said we were in a near empty theater. You didn't hear them cough at the beginning?
No.
You were so engrossed.
I was listening real hard for the cricket.
That's the last noteworthy thing that we alluded to at the beginning. If you caught it, we said the word cricket, but there was a cricket in the theater.
Yeah.
And I went at the beginning before the movie to see if I
chirping
could
away.
find it, and I could not.
Somewhere in the curtains.
But it stopped. I think it got bored and fell asleep.
Yeah. It was like this fucking movie again.
God, I'm just picking. It's so dumb. I'm sorry, everyone.
I think sometimes you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna say that's what's happening. We just need to let off some steam.
If only Patrick Wilson was in it.
Oh, we discovered who my Patrick Wilson is. Is that a thing of note?
Yeah, who was it?
What's her name?
Oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar is my
You just
Patrick
don't buy
Wilson.
her?
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Sorry, Buffy fans, I guess.
You may have just turned
all
off
of
a
our
lot
listeners.
Well,
bye, everybody. I one other thing. So maybe we are being harsh, but this is David Freyne, the director. This is his first feature.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a handful of shorts. So I don't think that's an excuse, but it's of note.
Yeah. I thought it was competent as far as just how it was shot.
Yeah.
And just feeling, as I said this word a couple times today, visceral.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
Remember the scene? We're going to do that bit. Remember the scene where Senan comes into the prison and there are two guards kind of sort of messing with a prisoner that's a semi-young girl.
Right.
But they're not raping her.
I thought at first it was they're definitely raping her.
That's what I thought. I thought they were
But then you saw both of them had their pants fully up.
Yeah, and they're but the prisoner or whatever the infected is not tied up in any way.
Yeah.
And then they get into a scuffle and then the prisoner gets out.
What was that scene?
I don't fucking know, but I think it sort of speaks to the larger picture. It's we need a scene right now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what was happening.
That doesn't do anything? Here's what it does. It shows that Senan cares. But
they could have been helping her for all we know.
You could have done a million things to show that actually meant something in relation to the story, and this just didn't. Oh shit, we're back in things that didn't work. Fuck. Sorry.
All right, anything else noteworthy? Because I didn't...
Nah.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's do it. What's next?
Anything you can recommend dead to our listeners?
Well, not really. I've been busy. I just haven't had time.
I've been watching too much. What have I been... I mean... Okay, well, I have... Okay, well, this can lead into when we say what we're going to be doing next week. But I feel like I may have already said this before just because I'm telling everybody about it. But I don't think I have. My recent all-time favorite films is a Japanese film called Love Exposure.
I don't know this.
And it's 4 hours long.
Whoa.
By the director Sion Sono. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but he's a prolific Japanese filmmaker. And as far as I've seen a couple of other of his films, but this one stands head and shoulders above them. And it's my favorite epic love story. But at the same time, it's very cross genre. I guess it's a comedy, but it does hit hard for me, at least as a romance in the end. It's very gory, it's perverted.
Really?
But very, very endearing characters and it doesn't take place in our reality, but all the characters I'm still very much endeared to. It's called Love Exposure. I think it's 2007 or 8 it came out.
It's 4 hours long?
Yeah.
God.
I think 3 hours, 50
That's
minutes.
a long
And when I
movie.
watched it, I just rewatched it a week ago today.
In one sitting?
And yeah, this was the closest I had gotten to watching it all the way through. We only stopped it once for a bathroom break. But otherwise, yeah, I've had to stop. When I first saw it in theaters, they stopped it once. And then there were a couple times the DVD was messing up at the beginning or the Blu-ray. And then when I watched it on my own, I think I had to get up once or twice for the bathroom. I'd love to watch it all in one sitting someday.
That sounds hard.
It's not it's
Oh,
probably,
you had mentioned this before, right?
I
That
said
it has really amazing pacing.
Yeah, it's just one of the most quickly paced films where it's just there is no natural rest moment in it. When you go all right, here's where we pause because we're moving into this section of the film.
Nice. All right.
And for next week's movie, why I say that segues into it is I'm going on a trip to Japan in 6 weeks. And I was trying to immerse myself in the language more, just as far as trying to learn the basics of it and, pick up on things, whatever you get from that. So I said to Tim, you down to watch some J-horror between now and then?
I'm down.
And, yeah.
I'm not real, I haven't gone down that path very much.
I've recently watched Pulse was one I watched recently.
I've heard of all of these, but I just...
And then so they're the classics, the big ones, Ringu and Ju-on.
Right.
It's been, I think, since The Ring came out in 2001 when I saw those. I'm pretty sure I saw Ju-on once in theaters at our local theater, the Rafael in San Rafael, but I don't remember it. And that's sort of my what I constitute for if we're still allowed to do a review on it. We reviewed Willard, which I had seen in high school. But I think where it's we're allowed to do it if I really don't remember. If I don't know how I would feel about it now. If I'm so distanced from it, I really forget it, essentially.
Yeah.
Then it's fair game for our review show.
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
say Ju-on is that. And I know it's a big common one, but Tim hasn't seen it. I haven't seen it forever, and I want to see it again. So next week, tune in for the original Grudge, Ju-on.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that next week.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm excited because it's a genre I obviously know about, but for some reason kind of have resisted jumping into.
It's interesting. I mean, I guess it's a subgenre for us, just where something's made, but it is just horror also.
Right.
It's
know what it is? This is so lame, but it is kind of just, I don't feel like dealing with subtitles all the time. It's so lame because I've seen so many
I think that's
movies
good.
that are subtitled, and once you get into it, you're fine. But
think
like
it's
the
good to-
initial
yeah.
impulse, I'm like, do I really want to see
I've noticed that
that
with you. I'm glad to sort of work against your impulse of like somehow not being able to pay attention for a moment.
Such bullshit.
If a movie is good and successful and working, then frames are there for a reason, and the filmmaker put them there for a reason. And to turn away at all, you miss something.
Yeah. I just go watch, like, I don't know, some shit ass movie.
So
like,
to watch something where
on
you're forced to
Netflix.
always be looking at the screen. Here we go.
That's true.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
So we're Dismembering Horror. And
That's us.
Where can people find
You can
Dismembering
find
Horror?
us at dismemberinghorror@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at dishorrorpod. I'm at Tim Aslin.
I'm at Ryan McDuffie, McDuffie on Twitter. But I don't use it that much. But I have a portfolio site, ryanmcduffie.com. And I think we're going to buy, this is again, we're backlogging these episodes, but we got to buy our URL for dismemberinghorror.com. Which, just check us out there, and then you'll get linked to all this.
Right? We should do like a Patreon. We should do all of the things.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Tim. Let's just keep meeting up every week and watching horror movies and having fun talk about it. But we got to get a website to do the RSS to make it a podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I was hoping, I looked at the clock earlier. I thought we could make this like a half-hour one just because I was over talking
I thought
about
the
this.
same thing.
But
and
thanks for sticking with us.
I
this
was
whole
trying
hour.
to pad. I was like, we got to pad this out, man.
I hate padding. I'm squashing your padding.
Ooh,
I'm glad
it feels
keep
so
going.
good.
All right. Done squashing padding. Good night, everyone.
Good
Or good day. Or good morning. Thank you for listening.
Stay scared.